What's going on, ladies and gents? This is Bento with another Steam controller playtest, and I'm going to be doing it on The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Released in 2015, I believe June, July, over the summer, I believe. This is quite possibly, and I say quite possibly a lot, but this has to be my game of the year for 2015. If any of you have played The Witcher 1 and 2, they were great games, although they were flawed in many aspects. The Witcher 3 made huge strides to get where it is now, and I think it is the epitome of the Witcher series, and I love this game to death. think I've poured in at least like 100 hours into this game, if not more, and I'm quite happy to be playing it and at least testing the Steam controller out to see how well it fares. If any of you guys have actually seen the Witcher, or sorry, not the Witcher, the Steam controller trailer that came out a while ago, they actually showcased The Witcher 3 with some small tidbits of what the Steam controller had to offer. But really all that it showed was the camera system and how the right trackpad really works in a third-person perspective game. But I wanted to really flesh it out to see how well the controls fare. Coming from the keyboard and mouse, I've never actually touched the console version of The Witcher 3, and judging from what I've sort of like inferred from how the controls felt like for the default control settings for as a controller, it definitely felt a little clunky. I thought there was a lot going on in terms of what each button does, because sometimes they'll have different effects per scenario. So for example, if you're in combat, the B button will actually just make you sidestep, but if you're exploring or just going around, it'll actually make you jump. So a bit of a confusion if sometimes you're caught between like combat and exploring, you might accidentally jump where you don't need to. But after a while I got used to the controls and it's no biggie, but initially it is a bit of a awkward feeling to get used to the controls. So for my actual controls, I have the regular controller console setup along with the mouse combo. So the right trackpad is essentially the mouse while everything else is the controller. X and Y are the attack buttons, your A is your select, your B is like your jump or sidestep, and well, that's thumbsticks obviously to move. The right trigger is actually the power I have, so either like the Quen sign or any of the signs basically. And the left trigger is just the blocking and parrying, and if you're exploring, it's pretty much your Witcher senses. The left thumb pad, I have it to select potions and my weapons, well, just two of the weapons actually, similarly with the left and right pedals at the back too. And I have my left bumper to be the wheel in order to select, say, the potions and the signs, so it's a little more accessible just in case I forget. And the right bumper is also the is actually the crossbow. And I actually have the right crossbow set with motion as well, so if I hold it down, I can actually steer my controller to aim. Normally I just have the right thumb pad to help with the camera aiming, but I thought it'd just be fun to have like the motion controls with the right or holding down to use the crossbow. And I think I'm actually about to use it here if I remember. So yeah, I'm moving the controller around, and I'm actually on the horse too, and just letting go, and I thought it was pretty fun. So I've also noticed with the Steam controller that there are some noticeable advantages I think that is a lot better than the controller, and I would say also the keyboard as well, but it's still up to preferences. So what I really liked about the right trackpad for the camera is the fact that I can swipe to move fast, and I can really like find a good view of where I need to do battle with monsters and whomever. So in comparison to say like a controller on the Xbox or the PS3, PS4, Xbox One, yada yada yada, the right thumbstick is always controlling your camera movement, but sometimes, depending on your preference, you want it to be slow so you can gauge maybe gauge where the enemies are, or you want it to be fast so that you can, oh, I just cut that guy in half. Sorry. So you want it to be fast so that you can like find monsters easier and stuff. I really like the thumb pad because the swiping motion sort of evens that out a bit. Like I can swipe fast when I need to turn the camera, but I can also move it a little just enough so that I can get a good sweep of the environment and just notice where enemies are appropriately. That's one really good advantage I like. One noticeable disadvantage that I kind of don't like is the fact that with the keyboard and mice you can actually choose your items and spells on the fly, because what I remember, I think on the keyboard, like 1 through 6 or 7 is the signs, and I have, I think, R and a couple other keys on the keyboard where to select potions and items. But what I've also noticed that, and it's a little clunky because I think there's a lot going on with your hands with the Steam controller, but again, with time, you can honestly perfect it. But what I've also been told, and a really big thanks to the guy who told me this, is that the shift mode allows you to add additional functions to buttons by by pressing a trigger of some sort. So for example, let's say your front buttons are your items. So in general, you can only have up to 4. But say if you were to alter your back pedal, like left back pedal to change, or if you were to hold it down, you can modify it so that it changes the functions of the front buttons. So not only, it's like, I think a good example would be that you're not just limited to 4 items now, but you can have potentially up to 8 items. And there's other combinations I really want to figure out too, and I think this is really good because not only, this means that you can select weapons on the fly, like games like Half-Life, Half-Life 2, single player games that really have like a lot of weapons to choose from. That means you don't have to, you can select them on the fly, you don't have to like go in and out of a menu or anything. And I think that added convenience lets a lot of players play their controller with games that are really keyboard oriented. And if you have Steam Link, you could always play with a couple of friends and at least lay on the couch. And really, when I think of Steam Link, and I actually have Steam Link and I've tried it out, and I think it's amazing how good like the quality of games I can stream from my computer to my TV is. But I think its best job is the fact that the Steam Link makes you a lot lazier than you need to be in life. Just because not only do you have a couch, you can play whatever the frick you want with that thing. And I think that's cool because, like, say you have a person like you want to play a game with, maybe you want to play Castle Crashers, some good multiplayer games, or even like Metal Slug or Battle Block Theater. Just some multiplayer games or like local multiplayer games I can name off the top of my head. But what I really like is that maybe if I want to show a friend who's never played Fallout 1 or Fallout 2, or show them how, like, where BioShock came from, like System Shock 2 and maybe even System Shock 1, I really like that it's expanded that functionality of playing old games that were on PC old games, or even just old games in general. Like, just showing that to your friends, like playing it in the comfort of your own home with some friends around you. To me, that's pretty cool. I like that idea a lot. But of course, I get to be lazy. So just to give you guys my overall impression, I really like how the camera movement works with The Witcher 3. I think the trackpad is a great way to like move camera in general with just third-person games. So I probably will go back to some old couple games. Maybe another stealth game like Styx was one. Shadows of Mordor was pretty cool. Maybe even give some old Assassin's Creed like a run too. But some things I feel like they could work a little better is the fact that because a controller is meant to kind of be like simplified, it's meant to be like comfortable, you don't have to deal with so many buttons. Even though you do have that functionality of expanding all that with the mode shifting, it can get complicated because there's so much to work with. But really, that's the great thing about the Steam controller, is that there's so much customizable things that every player has their own different thing to choose from. But that's all for me, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.